info space, you have a lot of scam artists putting together a program real quick because they learned something from a former prison inmate who's yelling at them in a coaching program. Like, they are really good at creating hype and sales, but not too good on the fulfillment. So there's two suggestions that I'll have to people. One, you need a
LFG Show, ¿cómo estás? We're in Medellín. We ain't messing around. I got my man Blake Toves here.
I was very blessed to have a mother who didn't take the conventional route. So that was my first real exposure to entrepreneurship. It wasn't until I watched a couple YouTube videos that I realized, oh, there's like something I don't need a degree for that people paying me way more than if I were to take the degree route.
I think that you see things from a different perspective than most of our audience does.
My generation is not always correct with our perspective. Oftentimes they're high off nicotine and caffeine. I found myself, especially after 8 years in the game, the endurance to continue to experiment, it's extremely important.
What I realized doing this podcast with you is that I'm going to allocate a certain portion of my week to AI.
You have entire business plans that can be written out by GPT. ChatGPT can be your life coach, therapist / executive who's in charge of managing you. It can be pretty effective.
I got back in meditation maybe 3 weeks ago, and man, the first few set times, ideas popping left and right.
My biggest business breakthroughs came whenever I did meditations. I often forget that that is a tool in my tool belt because society, life wants to throw distractions and alternatives to getting what you want.
If someone's trying to get into, someone's brand new and like they don't know where to begin, what would you suggest to them?
Yeah, I would suggest them to
LFG Show, ¿cómo estás? We're in Medellín. We ain't messing around. I got my man Blake Toves here. We met at the Sports and Betting Conference. One was a few weeks ago in Fort Lauderdale. And we're here in Medellín, man. I'm really excited to have you on the show because most of what we focus on our show is digital marketing, lead generation, affiliate marketing, that kind of stuff. Mainly for like white hat stuff, home improvement, insurances. But you're involved in a space that I think more people need to know about. It's a great space. It's growing like crazy for a lot of different reasons. We're talking about creator economy. We're talking about coaching. We're talking about high ticket sales. There's so many things involved here. So I don't even know where to begin, man, Blake. There's so many things to start off with, man. Where would you like to begin?
Well, yeah, people come out of nowhere in the creator economy, and it seems like they're overnight success. But what I've seen is, because where we met at this event in the sports betting conference, there's been many creators who they built their business on the back of really good affiliate deals. Mm-hmm. And these sports books for years have been giving pretty heavy commissions because after 2018, it's been the Wild West in sports betting. And they've been monetizing with that. But as the years go by, the commissions get less and less. They don't pay out as much. They take longer to pay out. And so it's just one example of many in the creator economy space where somebody launches their brand. They have a really good offer or partner that's paying them for the attention they're generating. And then they're forced to pivot or do something in addition to what they're already doing. So I've helped a lot of brands do that. Brands who, for example, there's a YouTuber who back in 2019 I reached out to, and he was making $20,000 a month selling a low-ticket financial education program. And from me working with him over the next year, experimenting with different styles of selling his offer, making his offer better, not necessarily changing the content up, he was able to grow his business to $1 million a month.
Wow.
And I learned through that process a lot of elements that I didn't really fully understand until I look back at them, because a lot of things can work if you just simply have an individual building a parasocial relationship at scale with hundreds of thousands of people. And no matter what you sell them, you can expect a really big return. And you just got to decide what you're selling them is worth it to sell them, because you're going to be extracting equity and you're going to be extracting something from your audience. So it's like, how do you do that? Some people won't promote certain offers because it's outside of their ethics. And then how do you as an advertiser go about convincing these influencers to promote your thing, not just based off of their ethics, but what's economical for them, and then build a long-term partnership with them. I've had to learn a lot about how that works. And I've seen a lot of money wasted, millions of dollars wasted on creators who just, they didn't perform, or they already hit their peak and then now they're at their bottom. So whoever is like watching this, they can learn a little bit more about navigating that. And What sparks your curiosity though? Because I sent you a doc before,
Yeah.
and we've chatted back and forth. What's most interesting?
What I like about it is that there's a lot of there. I think there's a yearning and there's a desire, huge desire, with everyone that's online to everyone has self-improvement. I almost call it like the hope economy, right? People want to get better. They're looking for how to collapse time frames. The old way of everything was the 9 to 5. You know, when I grew up, you work 9 to 5, you get a salary. Hopefully you get to 100,000 a year, you get a pension, 401k. And I feel like everything's been disrupted. And I think your generation and the younger generation, there's a lot of shit you guys get, right? I think probably some right, some wrong. But I think that the one thing, you guys are smart. You guys grew up with the internet, right? You guys know all the applications, AI. You guys are ahead of the curve. So you guys are looking at like, fuck working 9 to 5, fuck trading my time. And I think COVID changed a lot of that. Fuck trading my time for money. I'd rather use my brain and collapse time frames. And like that guy, why should I make, $50,000, $100,000 a year working 50 hours a week when I can make $100,000 a month, 100,000 in a day? So that's why I think this is fascinating.
I was very blessed to have a mother who didn't take the conventional route. Went to college, got an associate's, got a bachelor's even, but decided to take a more self-employed after years of corporate doing casework with people with mental illnesses, which what her degree qualified her to go and do and make a nice steady salary with all these benefits. She decided to take a more lucrative route, which had been at that time bail bonds, and bail bonds in Oklahoma, pretty big business. A lot of people get in trouble, and you're responsible for making sure that they get to court on time. So that was my first real exposure to entrepreneurship, because my mom didn't have to report to any like 9 to 5 job. I would often sit in the back of her car, wait outside the courthouse, chase people around town to get them, or even outside of town, even outside the state, to get them back into jail or get them back into, the city. Sometimes, watching her negotiate with a bounty hunter, do digital bounty hunting and try to track people down using Tinder catfishes or Facebook catfishes to get these guys. So I got a lot of early exposure to marketing and like negotiations from seeing her business in that. She's still doing that to this day too, because you build this momentum in the city and you don't really suffer from slow business at all, because you just are known as that person. And although I went to college and it was a full ride because of some certain scholarship programs I was on, it wasn't until I watched a couple YouTube videos, saw an ad, Ty Lopez, that I realized, oh, there's like something I don't need a degree for that people paying me way more than if I were to take the degree route. And so I sat with my entrepreneurship professor. Believe it or not, there's an entrepreneurship like pathway at the college I was at, and a really smart guy, intellectual property attorney. The patent that allows you to send a video or multimedia message from device to device, he had wrote that patent and had defended it through multiple litigious situations over the last couple decades. And he was advising me, hey, you should do what's best for you. And from what it sounds like, because I had got a couple clients after watching some YouTube videos, I got some local business clients. You should, if you want, leave, go find more clients, see how this business works out for you. And with that encouragement, and with my mom, again, thankfully, not being overbearing like many parents might be, like, oh, why would you leave college? Why would you do that? That's a safe, secure path. Like, why are you doing that? She took a very alternative approach and supported me through that. So, and many people I've met along this journey, they didn't have that support system, and they've used it to fuel them quite a bit. But getting into the space in 2017, 2018, and getting fast exposure to all the influencers in the online marketing space, you learn quite a bit very fast. And I couldn't afford the courses at the time, so I would go on and torrent some of these programs out there. I was like broke college kid. And there was a phase where I was just learning too much and I couldn't implement any of it.
Well,
because I would have analysis paralysis. And anybody who's watching a podcast on getting additional advice on improving their business, there's some issues whenever you get into this momentum of constant consuming and never deploying it.
100%.
Because and then a quick one, if somebody's watching this right now, like that I've used, is a summary tool. You're able to summarize this entire podcast. You can use one app called Summaryfy, and then another one called Glasp. If you're on your phone, the Summaryfy, you get the link, and there will be no affiliate link under this video for this, by the way, but because it's entirely free, you just grab the YouTube video, and then it takes the entire transcript and it gives you the key takeaways from that. So I've been using that a lot lately. So I always stay up to speed, because you live in an age of information with so much information that's sometimes taking sides on how you should approach specific business growth. Some people are all for paid ads. Some people are all for organic. You don't want to miss out on the info, but at the same time, you shouldn't be spending 8 hours a day or a week between all these different YouTube videos trying to solve a problem when you can do it in a shorter time frame.
There's a new endeavor called Roofs in the Box. It's just, man, from day one, it's taken off.
When I first started getting into the roofing industry, what was happening was my fixed costs were always there. And so for me, I was looking at how can we kind of, one, save on these costs, and then two, how do I not lay people off during down times? But also maybe even the ability to pocket more money during the slow season or even the peak season. Since we've done this before, like with our lead gen companies where we have virtual staffing, and from Argentina or Colombia, I'm like, why don't we do the same thing in the construction business? Now, once we figured it out, we reduced their fixed cost by 70%. And so now during the downtime, they have real seasoned veteran type of players. But during the uptime, they pocket 70% of their operational costs are now going back in their pocket. And then when it's time to scale, they have the back end prepared, already ready to go to help them like lift off. Depending on what state you're in, you're averaging about 12.5% on what you pay out on taxes, insurance, all the different insurances that you have to pay out, right? So yeah, you don't have to pay out unemployment, you don't have to pay out FICA insurance, Medicare, Social Security, the things that business owners have to eat.
Roofs in the Box is not just limited to roofing or home improvement companies.
You can use it for any services, right? You can use it for IT. We use them internally for data sales, for hygiene, for analytics. It doesn't even matter what the vertical is.
It's like business in the box at the end of the day.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I love what you said. And again, I love those pieces of advice about it's about collapsing time frames. And I think that's what people are becoming smarter. The older generation would love to, read their newspaper, put it in their hands. The younger generation wants to consume it as quickly as possible, collapse time frames. And they have the purchasing power to invest in themselves. I kind of joke a lot of times. You heard me say it back when we were in Florida, the degen economy, right? People are looking to make money quick, whether it's through a freaking meme coin, crypto, stock trading, or they want to become an influencer, or they want to create courses, build masterminds. But to get quick money, you got to create some value as well, is what it comes down to. So I think that's why this is an exciting podcast episode for me, because a lot of what we've talked about in the past has all been traditional internet marketing, that kind of stuff. That's always going to be around, don't get me wrong, but I think that you got to diversify revenue streams. I've gotten involved in this stuff. We have the LFG Show. I have some stuff with high ticket stuff that I'm involved in that's doing pretty well and I'm excited about. But that's why I like having you on the show, because I think that you see things from a different perspective than most of our audience does. Do you agree with that, you and your generation?
My generation is not always correct with our perspective. Oftentimes they're just high off nicotine and caffeine consumption, and they just think that something's a great idea just because. And truth is, if you experiment a ton of times, I mean, you may have 10 bad ideas and get one that's really, really great. So I found myself, especially after 8 years in the game, the endurance to continue to experiment, continue to be curious, it's extremely important, because you could have a bad campaign or bad business deal and that kind of throw you off if you got comfortable off of that deal or campaign. So as a safety net, you should always be reinvesting and experimenting, and in a lot of cases getting out of your environment, going to events like Colombia Con,
Yep.
like the event that we went to, because you can not just meet people, but absorb what's working in the market. The best investments that I've made into courses and coaching, since I've sold a lot of it, but what have I bought that's been useful for me? They've been masterminds and opportunities to meet people in person. The first one I ever bought was a $1,500 ticket to a 3-day event in Newport Beach with Jason Capital. He's a guy who wrote a book called something about high status mastery. He had this event called Status Mastery Live, and he was pivoting from a dating coach into being a biz op guru. And to do that, he had to teach his guys, his group of folks who were learning from him about dating, into how that translate over into business. And then what you should do, from your body language to how you dress, to how you speak, to improve your chances of success in business. And it's from that event, not just the information, but the cathartic experience he had us do, like jumping around and shaking around. Elliot Hulse is a renowned like fitness YouTuber who talks about bioenergetics, and just it's a combination of breath work and you shaking your body. And whenever you have been in the same conditioning for so long, to do an exercise like that for the first time, while you're at an experience that's giving you new information, you can integrate that well, a lot better. And then after that, my business started to take off even more. Every time I would go to a workshop where I would have to physically get myself involved to get outside my comfort zone, I would see levels increase in business. And like meditation workshop, I was talking to a friend who does $2 million a month at the moment. He runs a sales force for a brand that does that. And he doesn't do as many call reviews as maybe some of his competitors. What he focuses on is the beliefs of his reps. And when we speak, we say the frequency or the emotional states that they are consistently in. And as he coaches them, a lot of what he learned from the workshops that he himself invested in, the meditation workshops, personal development, he's able to share, not in the same way he learned it, but in his own unique way that can help them do their job better. And that investment's paying off for him, all of the money he's ever spent on meditation workshops, because now he has this business that can sustain itself and focus on the right things to grow. And whenever you're building a brand, like working with a creator and then building a team around them, if the creator isn't good at managing teams or leadership, you have to be that guy for them or have that person for them. And so that's a challenge that some people, especially in the old school affiliate space, may not like, because you have to deal with people.
Yeah.
And there's a whole set of skills involved with that. You can't just deal with media buying campaigns. You can't just deal with, the technicals. You got to deal with individuals who don't show up for work for a couple of days and not blowing up on them immediately, but then realizing they maybe had a life issue prevent them from showing up to work, and then emphasizing with that, but also realizing if this person doesn't show up, how do I create redundancy in my business so I'm not as impacted by them no showing? So you're dealing with a bunch of different factors, and it requires a different level of thinking. To get to that level of thinking faster, again, goes back to invest into getting in rooms where there are already men and women who have those sorts of responsibilities, and things that are now obvious to them that just seem so simple to do may seem complex for you, but because now they're in your friend group, you can just text them, hey, how should I approach this situation of firing my employee? I mean, one big mistake that people in sales teams has is they don't have an offboarding process where they sit down with the person that they are firing and ask them, hey, what do you think went wrong? It's their opportunity to finally say whatever had been withheld before throughout their entire relationship working together in that business. And it's quite possible that the insights gleaned from that person being fired can help prevent the next person from being fired, or prevent the business from going in the red.
Mm-hmm.
So just that one activity alone is something I learned by being in a sales team mastermind. And imagine if you have 10 of those and how they compound over time, what effect that has on your business.
How much do you think you've invested in in these masterminds, would you say, since you got involved?
So cumulatively over 200,000, but the most expensive one was 36K for a year, which include a couple in-person events, mostly virtual events. When I say events, we would just get on a call and talk about the subject matter. Mostly sales letters, sales teams. The second one was also sales team centric. It's 24 grand. And then I've had numerous ones below that price point that have been useful. Some one-off experiences, events, and paying for a VIP or ultra VIP at an event to connect with folks. And then you have like one-off courses that maybe cost $100, $200. I would say too, one-off calls. There's this really cool, it's not an app, it's a website where it's called Intro Me. Another one's called Clarity, but both serve as a marketplace for expertise. You have billionaires, you got people from multiple 8-9-figure companies that ran certain departments, or maybe they were the executive. They had they're on this marketplace and they're selling their time for $50 an hour, $100 an hour, 200, and you can talk to them and just get some quick advice, or maybe you want to pitch them something. But you can get advice, you can get an introduction, and I've spent quite a bit of money on that, and that's bared fruit as well. But those are the main ones. So year-long commitments into masterminds, one-off events, one-off coaching sessions. I don't buy courses, like video courses, as much.
You rather go one-on-one, face-to-face, right? Is that you get more value for the networking, or why would you say that is?
Yeah. If I'm going to get a course, it'll be not for me, but for somebody on my team.
Yeah.
Chances are, if the person is good, they have existing content online that cover what they would have covered in the course. Anyways, AI just makes a lot of courses alone irrelevant. You often see ads too that are running on people's feeds saying, stop selling courses, sell a community.
Yep.
Or stop selling courses, do coaching. Everybody's beating up courses because it's just the most entry-level thing that folks are told that they can start to take what's in their mind, their genius model, and put it out there. But what often can help people are cohort-led coaching programs. Cohort as in it starts at a certain time, it ends at a certain time, and it's only for a certain amount of people. So it's not an evergreen coaching process. I like the idea of cohort from a fulfillment perspective. It's much simpler to fulfill on. And I've been a part of some, and they're way more effective than the evergreen. There are certain business models where evergreen does make sense, but it tends to be more cost heavy on the fulfillment side. Because you have people coming in at different stages of their cycle. Like in the case of a fitness offer, maybe somebody already lost all the weight and now they're trying to build the muscle. They're in a different cohort technically than somebody who still has weight to lose. Just a simple example.
So what's hot now? You touched on a lot of stuff there. I mean, it was great. I mean, like building communities, right? And I know fitness is always going to be around. I feel there's always but that evolves. It goes a different direction, especially now with this weight loss, Ozempic, and all that stuff, GLPs, right? But if someone's trying to get into, someone's brand new and like they want to, maybe there's a mastermind they want to join, or they don't know where to begin. Like, what would you suggest to them?
Yeah, I would suggest them they would find a leader online, like a Hermosi. They would communicate their business idea, like I'm talking a low cost or free way. They would find a chat GPT, an LLM that had been pre-prompted with Hormozy's knowledge as an example, and then you just pump your idea that you have about your new business, you would give your idea to this AI. Because I'm assuming if you're starting out that you don't have anybody in your network that you could mastermind with. And if you're from a small town like me, the people in your network that might even have this surge of energy to build a business, they just lack a lot of experience and knowledge. And it could be like, that's not mentorship. That's you getting into a back and forth with somebody who knows just as much as you do. So it's a waste of time. I'd rather have a back and forth for an hour if I was a complete beginner with AI Hormozy and get somewhere than with my buddy who I go and drink with and he doesn't know what to do with his life either. Or maybe he does know what to do with his life. He's in this 9 to 5, very, very simple structure for his life and he loves it. And he's good and he's in a healthy mindset. It's not like he's a complete loser, but he just has a different perspective and a different way of living. And if you're like, entrepreneurship is a risk-taking game. And so the ideas that the highest quality ideas come from a situation of, oh, I'm taking a personal risk by putting myself out there. There's a risk of me looking like a fool for knocking on this person's door trying to sell them. Or from selling a client, accepting money from somebody, there's a risk that I won't be able to do what I say, and they could charge me back or file a lawsuit if I don't fulfill. So many people, you spell out the risks like that, they couldn't stomach it.
Yep.
And so clean lens, a clean data pool for what you want to do, that's what you got to tap into. That's what you got to see your vision through. Some people, they don't even talk to their friends. They talk to GPT more. Like if you look at time spent talking to ChatGPT versus friends, way more time with ChatGPT.
Wow. But when you say some people, I'm assuming you're talking about the younger generation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fascinating. That sounds kind of...
And we joke about it too.
Yeah.
Whenever it's like, dang, I've been spending more time with GPT than my buddies. And like, hey, it's not necessarily a bad thing. There's this old cassette tape. I remember this old story. This guy said that he had a cassette tape of Jim Rohn, who is a world-renowned personal development speaker, and he would just play his tapes on repeat, and that was his friend, and that's how he learned.
I'm sure that friend's doing great too.
Yeah. And so that's what it comes down to.
Fuck, I gotta spend more time talking to GPT. Everyone here, spend more time talking to GPT. But you're right though. I mean,
I'd be pre-prompted, because if you just talk to it,
okay, how do we talk to it right so we're not fucking talking to a wall wasting time?
Yeah, because it might agree with you. That's the problem. You don't want...
Yeah, okay.
Like, you ever meet somebody and they just agree with what
you don't need that shit.
Huh?
Challenge me.
Exactly. So you gotta pre-prompt say, hey, listen, challenge me, and you can take the words out of my mouth that I'm saying right now and punch in the GPT, and the tone will change, because you can, and you want this tone. Say, hey, I want you to be brutally honest, and throughout our conversation about my new business idea, point out all of the holes in my thinking, and also point out whenever I am thinking too small, and build me up, but not just for the sake of building me up. Take what you know about myself, assuming you do use ChatGPT already and knows a bit about you, and highlight my strengths. And if I'm proposing an idea and it doesn't align with my strengths, please prevent me from doing that. Okay? It sounds very much like a life coach, therapist / executive who's in charge of managing you, but it can be pretty effective. And then you have entire business plans that can be written out by GPT just to see what it would look like if you were to stack a new business on top of what you're already doing. And then my buddy Ryan, he made this great video because he's in the info space. He sells info products, and he was talking about how you have a bunch of opportunities that get thrown at you, shiny object syndrome, and there's a cure for that, actually. You have to model out what you want to focus long-term on that actually makes sense to bolt on to what you're currently doing and say no to the rest. It's not that you shouldn't take on new opportunities and thinking towards the future. It's just that you got to, there's some things that are way more relevant than others to bolt on to what you're doing. If you are going to, for example, you have a women's fitness coaching offer and you want to launch a supplement line or white label a supplement product underneath your own brand and deliver it to, like, that's pretty relevant.
Correct.
But a life insurance lead generation offer, if you're already in this women's fitness niche, the two don't really intertwine. You can probably force something to happen. I mean, you can sell life insurance to the women that are coming into your fitness program. But when you're talking about like the scale and the usefulness of the data, because let's say like you have this fitness offer and then you have this life insurance offer. They're both siloed off in their own different CRMs or ad campaigns, and they don't really talk to each other. But compared to a supplement business and fitness offer, I mean, this sounds very common sense and obvious, but people still do it. They run these businesses that don't really share data or resources or even sales personnel. Because a salesperson on a fitness offer that's selling coaching, they could easily sell the supplements as well. Increase AOV versus something like a life insurance or and there's even way more. There's people who do local business marketing at the same time of doing info and coaching marketing, and you really got to pick one because there's different. What you build your business around, you'll be kind of known for being that guy. Like if you're the local business lead generation guy, you'll be known for that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the info product guru guy who builds up info brands, you'll be known for that. So you really just got to pick one to roll with. And I'm mostly speaking to the guys who are in their year 1, year 2 of this process, by the way.
Yeah, it's fascinating, man. This stuff blows me away. Now, my takeaway here is that it's funny. I have a coach, right? We go over, tell him about all these initiatives I'm working on. I feel like I got a lot of things that are moving in the right direction, but I need to manage my time a little better, right? And I want to incorporate more time for myself because I'm always go. It's nonstop. And go back. I used to do flotation therapy and meditate. I've been meditating a lot more. It's been helping clear up my mind. But what I realized doing this podcast with you is that I'm going to allocate a certain portion of my week to AI, learning more about AI, getting deep into that, not having any distractions because these tools are so powerful. And it's funny when you say, a lot of the younger generation spending more time talking with GPT than speaking with a person. But at the end of the day, I'm not speaking enough with GPT. I feel like a lot of our audience isn't. So I need to allocate, see how much time am I doing that to do a little bit more and dive into it, spend more time because it's evolving fast. And being in business is all about having an edge. And I think this is how you get that edge, right? And we're talking more of the creator economy, that stuff, but they're using it. Everyone's using it. So the point is that you got to be on board if you're not. So I appreciate that takeaway because I'm going to incorporate that. I don't know if that's an hour a week. Maybe it goes from an hour to 2 hours, but you got to do it. If not, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably model it out. You have the most important person to talk to would be your higher self or God. Many people do it through prayer. I found it to be especially useful. And for the maniacs watching this right now who are stemmed out, can't sit down, like the idea of meditation is beyond what they want to do at the moment. Let me dangle this golden carrot in front of you. What if I told you any issue that you're having right now, you'll actually find a solution that takes you several steps closer to your goal, or it could even just be the final solution. You could achieve that in a 15-minute meditation or a 30-minute meditation. Okay, now I dangled something. Instead of just it being, you'll be able to increase your emotional resilience and stress management and all that. Those are nice benefits. But if I knew what was going on in your business and your life right now, and I could tell you, hey, the solution is actually whenever you still the mind for a little bit, you'll actually have an idea just be dropped in. Not always, but often, especially if you haven't meditated in months or years even. If you just sit down and you have to specifically do what's called an open space meditation, where you close your eyes and you would listen to somebody guiding you through this process. Joe Dispenza is really good about this, but you just imagine you in no space, nowhere, no time, just nothing, the infinite blackness. And you become aware of just nothing, and you just keep emptying your thoughts. And what you'll notice is that there will be thoughts that kind of spring up, stories that play. And if it's a story from the past, I kind of just disregard it because it's not really useful. It's more useful for me to go into nothing, into blackness. Now, if something especially useful comes about, where it's like a insight, or I have a memory of something that applies to my situation right now, or it's a completely light bulb new idea altogether, I'll actually stop my meditation. Okay, stop, hold up, cut, and then write it down. Or I'd be on my phone and I would just talk into ChatGPT and explain in visceral detail related to that idea. Maybe it's like a whole new, it could be as simple as, oh, I need a hire for this role, instead of like a who, not how, or it's a who, not how situation to solve your problem. Like, I need to hire this. I bet, wow, I can't believe I forgot about this guy. He is I met him a couple years ago at an event, and he specializes in, say, running a sales team. Okay, you need to find a sales team leader. He specializes in running a sales team, and in my industry, and I totally forgot about him until now. You'll have those sorts of memories pop up, or it could even be a new idea. So, and I'm getting into detail on this because it's a case for meditation. Just, it's a case for meditation leading you into greater business success. And whether you become less stressed out or not, I'm not telling you that your temper will lengthen or shorten, or if you'll be less sad. But from a ideas perspective, you will get a whole lot more than you just sitting there scrolling or even talking to sometimes you'll get it whenever you talk to people, when you talk to ChatGPT. But I feel that the highest quality ideas come from whenever you're in this state of stillness and in meditation. So I'd say that's number one. And number two would be, yes, AI, pre-prompted AI that has a clear idea of what you're trying to do. And then close business mentors, friends, or people like that. So that's kind of like the hierarchy.
This is fantastic, by the way, and I agree. I got back in meditation maybe 3 weeks ago, and man, but you're right. The first few times, ideas popping left and right, and I forgot about this guy. Let me talk to them, and boom, I feel like I'm on that path because there's so much good things, so many good things going on. There's so much noise out there, especially someone like me. I travel like crazy. I'm always moving around, right? So this is really important. I'm glad you said that for the audience, and then no matter what you're doing, whether you're selling some shit door to door, you're doing traditional lead gen, you're a creator, or you're doing high ticket sales, it's all connected at the end of the day, and you got to have that stillness. And I'm working on that. It's amazing how I feel like law of attraction. I'm working on it. And then when we first met, we didn't even talk about any of this stuff, and now we're talking all about it. It's just funny how that happens.
My biggest business breakthroughs came whenever I did meditations, and I often forget that is a tool in my tool belt, because society, life wants to throw distractions and alternatives to getting what you want. But the truth is, as you still your mind, you get the solutions for most of life's issues. And I'll say a good example is, I'm not just involving myself, for my family. When I started earning more money, a big issue that my mother had was her health. At 29, so 2 years older than I am right now, she was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. She no longer has it. She's fully recovered. But at that time of my life, whenever I was a teenager, it had me obsess about every single health modality that you could think of, every modality of healing. And for the sake of like not seeing my mother in pain. And she had been overweight for several years, like extremely overweight, which is quite common. A third of Americans are overweight. And by investing in my mother's, not just education, but experience, it caused her to shift internally her relationship with food and how she dealt with stress. Because your diet, if you're overweight, often overweight people, their relationship with food is not a good one. And they use it as like a coping mechanism, or the way that her response was to food is, if we had left it on the table and nobody ate it, she was conditioned to us as a child. She would feel bad that nobody would eat this food, and so she would need to eat it. So it's like, you have to decondition that. How do you do it? Well, paying $3,000 for a meditation workshop over the course of a week at a nice hotel in like Naples, Florida, that worked for her. And then to take it a step further, she wanted to do hypnotherapy. Coach, this is key here. I did not force this on her. She wanted to do it. And because I had the financial resources to help her, I was like, all right, let's make it happen. So tuition paid for that. And she would go to these in-person workshops, get on these calls, and learn as much as she could about how hypnotherapy can change people's lives, how it can change their mindset around events that happen to them, and they can show up more powerfully. And because I did this, and she was receptive, and she's a powerful woman too, and she was able to fully realize that and unleash that, my 3 younger siblings that have lived with her and everybody else in the family are way healthier because of it, because she has dropped 180 pounds, and she's become the type of woman that many people go to for advice now, because of the wisdom from stealing the mind from her own transformation. And so investing into programs shouldn't just be for yourself. If you're trying to live a really good life, you need to be doing it for the people that you love and around you. If it doesn't have to be your mother, but if it's a woman or a man who's played a significant role in your life who you want to keep up with, if you really love them, then you would want to see them thrive in the time that they do have on earth with you. You don't get to live, maybe in the case of your mother, most people don't have a 15-year difference like I do with my mother. They're older. But in the time we do have, let's make it really good. And you should have the courage, especially as a man, to speak up and lead people to want to change. Many folks will resist changing despite you logically presenting, hey, you have seed oil in your cupboard, you need to switch it to beef tallow and butter. Or why do you have cereal? Why are you feeding your kids cereal? They're going to have all these types of issues. You should just cook them eggs for breakfast. Something as simple as that. I mean, you could feel an internal resistance to wanting to say that because you could get a response from them that's very defensive. But there's always a way to have this conversation where it doesn't come off as, oh, like I'm offending your whole lifestyle. And we have to pursue. ChatGPT can be very useful for that, I'll say. You can ask ChatGPT, hey, every time I bring up trying to go to the gym with my mom, she's like resistant and doesn't want to do it. What should I do? And then if ChatGPT is smart, they'll probably ask you questions about your mom. It could just give you a solution right off the rip, though. And then that solution is like, oh, well, that might actually work. And now possibility is open for you, where it was previously a closed door. Oh, he'll never change. What if they said that about you? Like your family said that about you. Oh, he'll never change. You're reinforcing that reality. Would it be nice if they changed? Yeah. But will they? No. If you believe that they won't. And I found that not being focused on controlling their change, rather focused on loving them into life and understanding what type of life, if they were to live it, they'd feel better about. And then coming from a place of inspiration for them. Like, oh, it'd be so fun. I would love to go on a, and you share ideas about like the future, not the past, the future. In order to get to the future, though, we have to do some things right now. like get our health together. But wouldn't it be awesome to go travel to Europe? I'll tell you this, let's have a whole 1 week vacation. But in order to do that, let's prepare a little bit. So that way when we leave, we feel really healthy.
Yep.
And so you don't have to worry about, like in the case of weight, you don't have to worry about like low energy and not enjoying it as much. Let's prepare for that. So that's just a couple examples that, and I'm telling you this from experience of stuff that I've done and where I find utility and money in my first 7 years of making it. And many just keep it. They don't use it. Or they have they're like multi-million-dollar net worths, but there's people in their family who are struggling, suffering. And it's like, there's millionaires who don't even know about peptides, who don't even know about like advanced medical procedures that are not available in their country, but in another country that could help relieve the suffering of their current family member that's dealing with something. Because they haven't like thought outside of, they haven't expanded their awareness. Maybe meditation would help with that. Maybe talking to ChatGPT. Either option's pretty damn useful. So, but yeah, I wanted to highlight some of the real world application of using GPT, especially for things that matter to people, which are other people in their family.
When I first heard of roofs in a box, I thought, no way could everything be combined in one platform, from your CRM to AI to even virtual assistant helping manage all these things together. It has completely changed my business, and I couldn't be where I'm at without it. So over the last 8 months or so, I've saved at least $1 million on what it would cost salary-wise to hire the engineer. I wouldn't have been able to do what I've done without roofs in a box, or be able to do what I am currently doing without roofs in a box. If you are looking to scale, get your business organized, or get it ready to sell, definitely want to give Roofs in a Box a call. They'll get everything tightened up, get you set up to do whatever you need to do for a fraction of the cost. Not everybody's got $1 million just laying around. Hire operations managers and have their own call center. So give Roofs in a Box a call, they'll get it taken care of.
This all ties into what we're talking about originally, and why you're an expert in this, is this creator economy, right? People we're humans, right? There's pain points, there's issues you had 5 years ago aren't issues now, or 5 years ago, and tomorrow new issue might pop up, but the answers are out there for you to get them, and you just got to find them. And I think that's why, if you're a creator that adds value, you can do really, really well. And if you're us as internet marketers, if we partner up with someone like that, and that's what you did to get your career going, you can make a lot of money and do something that's helpful to people. Yeah, there's a lot of snake oil bullshit out there. We know that, right? There's a lot of people pumping shit that doesn't make any sense. They're here today, gone tomorrow, or maybe they have a short run. But the point is that the answers are out there for you, and it's going back to that. I mean, the economy, the creator economy, is so huge because people have these pain points, right? Would you agree? And then what do you think? I mean, in that aspect, that's health. I'm on peptides, right? I've been on peptides for 3 years. I feel like it's been great for me. I found a doctor through Instagram, Dr. D in Miami, who's been on the show with me. He'll be on the show again in a month from now. Got my wife's on peptides now. She got her whole. Every 3 months, they look at our blood level, they make these changes, but I found them online. So the point is, the answers are out there for you. And if you partner up with the right creator, right influencer as a marketer, or you don't even have to partner up. You can just, you have a problem, pain point, you work with them, and then it could turn into a business opportunity, right? So it's just, that's what I find fascinating. That's why I wanted you on here, because you've been doing this. You made a career out of this, right? And there's other services aside from that. You can do this merchanting. There's all this other stuff you can do when you get involved in this. So there's a lot of layers to this, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, your network is valuable, even if you don't think. There's people who would pay for services that you know about, if you told them about it. And everybody could benefit, even if you just got a small personal brand and like a couple hundred followers, or even 1,000 followers, but you just sharing things that's working for you in your life. Joint ventures, that's a topic that I know quite a bit about. I was riding in a train on my first time out of Oklahoma, listening to Jay Abraham in his talks around joint ventures and how to make them happen. And I'm still applying what he's talking about to this day. There's a financial education program, I've mentioned it already, that I've built. And we partnered with a tax savings and an entity setup company, Prime Corporate Services. They would call up all of our existing clients and ask them if they were trading, if they were investing into stocks as a business or as a personal. And if they're doing it through their personal, they're missing out on a lot of tax saving opportunities. But I didn't do the calls myself and fulfill any of the tax prep or entity setup work. I just partnered with the company. I partnered with the company to do it, and we get paid commission on that. So that's one example. And then in the same vein is joint venturing with a credit repair company and sending people over. Like if you're a financial creator, you have a newsletter or a channel, we're talking about finance. That's how you extend the lifetime value of the people that are watching you. You have all these other adjacent financial services that don't compete with the one that you're pushing, which could be coaching or maybe a stock trading software. So that's another thing that we've focused on is the different joint venture opportunities that a business could attach to itself. And if I go into any offer now, I look at how do I improve the client lifetime value and without changing anything to the offer or the price point. So there's like for every health influencer, they could have a blood work or
Makes sense, yeah.
mineral analysis partnership and do that. Partner with the supplement brand. So thinking beyond what you're just servicing your people, and you don't have to build the business around it. You can just partner with somebody who already has a well built out business for it.
And you did, I trade like crazy. I trade every day. I got options positions. I've been doing this for like fucking 20 years. You had success partnering up with a trader at one point, right? And
multiple, yeah.
Multiple traders, right? And I don't think you're afraid to talk numbers, but I think at one point you were making I think he was doing like $1 million a month in revenue with you, and you were getting like 15 or 20% of that. We have $150,000, $200,000 months. Is that correct?
Yeah. 20%, no equity. It was through a conversation with Hermosi actually that I discovered I couldn't get any equity because the brand itself was not sellable, and it just wouldn't make sense to have it. Now in 2025, because this was in 2021 when Hermosi was like, yeah, can't sell that brand. Now in 2025, maybe that brand is sellable because there's more people buying, but it's long-term stock investing offer and completely built off of one guy's face. So you'd have to do about a year's worth of work and repositioning to make it a faceless offer and to prove out that, A, this can't actually run without that sole key man making content. And then you could possibly sell it. Because businesses like that, the reason why it's not doing $1 million a month anymore is because of the GameStop and Robinhood fiasco that happened in 2021. Many people remember. I definitely do. You have a situation where many folks doing long-term stock investing, they're not as interested in the long-term anymore. They want short-term gains. They've got into that crypto, into other things that are way sexier. So it prevents you from thriving when your business is completely organic, and now the organic attention shifts to something else entirely. And because you don't do short-term activity in the stock market, which that was the case for this brand, people aren't as interested in you. And your portfolio can be affected because of that. There's a situation with this YouTuber. It's quite interesting. Not pump and dump situation, but the stocks would definitely pump when he would talk about them. You go back and you look at the price of certain stocks and you look at the videos when he published them. These stocks would go up 10%, 15% from him publishing a YouTube video about it the same day. There was like mid cap or low cap stocks that you would get like on OTC exchanges, but he wouldn't trade them in and out. He would hold And a lot of his other folks that got on board, they would also hold. So it would maintain that high price for quite a bit longer than, say, a money Twitter stock trader who's pumping a crypto coin or a ticker that's super small cap. But over time, like, people just liquidate their positions and they end up being, they never see that high again.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of an issue there when people lose interest and it affects the entire portfolio that was essentially your brand. Your brand was you and the energy you showed up with on the YouTube channel, but it was also your portfolio and its performance. And if that portfolio comprises of now stocks that were once high but are currently way down, people don't want to follow you. They want to follow other people.
Correct. Yeah, it's almost like it's just chasing the next hot. You're always chasing, right? It's almost chasing a stock picker or a sports bettor or guru. They go on a run, but it's all a numbers game. At the end of the day, it'll come back. If they're high, they go 9 out of 10. The next might be 1 out of 5. So if you catch a 9 out of 10, you're gonna love them, but then you're gonna lose on the 1 out of 5. So I think it's finding opportunities that are evergreen, kind of like lead gen verticals. I feel like these people that talk about buying businesses or anything related to business growth, because everyone always wants to start their own business. I feel like those are, I think, doing well. Cody Sanchez, I think, I know you know, she's blowing up. Alex Ramos's acquisitions.com. I feel like those are good ones to hitch on to. I mean, you agree with me on that? Because I feel like I think they might have more stability than the stock trading, stock picking, crypto stuff.
Well, as a skill set, everybody should understand how a business is bought and sold. You're always at one point helping a business that is going to be bought and sold, or you're running a business that will be bought and sold. You have guys who are in deals, who are taking profit share deals, but they have no equity. There's no buyout agreement. All they know is they're on a profit share. They're pretty much as good as a sales rep.
Yep.
But they're building out all this infrastructure for a business that offer tech stack, CRM. They're writing the copy for the VSL, the ads, the emails. They may be even hiring the actors to help reduce key man risk. They're doing all this stuff, but they will see none of the upside. I hope they get paid well for it, but often they don't. And it's the business owner, too, that could benefit by giving them equity, because now you're selling people on this long-term vision, and so they can stick around a little bit longer. It doesn't got to be like straight equity. It could be like shadow equity that many folks have to not trigger any taxation event, and it's just there, and they got to stick to it in the long run. You don't got to be some IPO goal driven or, hey, we're going to raise VC. You don't got to do that. There's lots of businesses that you could, especially if you got internet marketing skill set, you can go into a set of local businesses and fix up a lot of stuff for equity, and that's how you could get an exit. Have I done that? No, not yet. I do have equity, though, in an entity that is going to focus on making those acquisitions. I got a buddy, his name's Ben Zogby. He sold his trading education company for $1.8 million 2 years ago. And since then, he has been advising for other companies to help them sell their business. And him and I, we hit it off because I'd been in the space for so long. I know all these folks who could probably sell. And so I'm connecting him with people. This month alone, we got 17 million in businesses that are going to be selling this year, hopefully. And so we collect a percentage of 5 to 6% off of the exit price of that, assuming
awesome.
we get the exit price for what they want. And so that's a good business. It allows you to network with folks. And most of his conversations are just telling people, convincing them that, hey, the business you're in, you can sell it. Newsflash, you can sell it. They oftentimes are like, oh, I can? Well, that's cool. How do I do it? It's like, well, you have to do this system enhancement, remove your key man risk, validate more than one profitable stream of customer traffic source. So if you're just running ads, get organic going. It's, again, all that list right there is not the full criteria for people buying. Some people will buy if you just have one working traffic source. But you can often have better negotiation leverage if you, as the seller of a business, if you have all of these boxes checked. So that's what Ben and I have been helping these folks with. And then we split the commission upon exit of that. And if you were to go like a traditional investment bank, try to sell your business, they'd probably take 10 to 15%. Many of these M&A advisors or business brokers would take like an upfront fee, which could work in certain markets, but we're just going with the performance only approach at the moment. So that's another great way to make use of your network. If you've developed quite a bit of like you, for example, have a podcast, you're going to all these events, you know all these people, something that many of them have either done or are focusing on, selling their business.
Mhm.
And so do you have somebody in your network at the moment who can help them prepare their business for exit or potentially even buy the business too? And I wanted to have that type of person in my network. So it just happened to be Ben. And we've since decided that we're going to use his personal brand, his face, and push more of him out there with this angle of you should prepare your business to sell it. I can help you do so. I know people who can buy your business from you, just with that very simple angle. And we're seeing really good early success with that.
I love it, man. This is, God, we hit a lot of different topics here, and there's such a wealth of knowledge. I feel like we're gonna be doing a lot more with you, Blake, on the show. I'd like to do a lot more for you because I feel there's so much that we can dive into. We're running out of time here, but I want to, what's one thing that maybe we didn't touch upon that you want to touch upon before you wrap up here?
In the info space, the creator economy, the space of people selling high ticket, you have a lot of scam artists, you have a lot of balcony boys, these flex offenders who are putting together a program real quick, and because they learned something from a former prison inmate who's yelling at them like in a coaching program, like they are really good at creating hype and sales, but not too good on the fulfillment. And as a result, their merchant processing, the technology they use to process payments, gets soiled. Because even if they align with a really good sales team, that fulfillment looks subpar and people charge back. There's even sales teams that like offers like that because they have tons of leads coming through. That's great. Tons of booked appointments. That's great. Show up rate, great. But what's being offered is completely soiling that person's reputation and the merchant processor's reputation. So there's two suggestions that I'll have to people if you are going to work with a creator brand. One, you need to align with a company that can install a client success manager or at least coach the business on client success management. There is a few people that do this. One is called Ethical Scaling, ethicalscaling.com. And there's a bunch of resources that they have for client success. And the second is just aligning with a merchant processor that will handle high risk without holding your funds. And Stripe is known to hold a lot of funds. And so I highly suggest, yeah. And so I highly suggest using wop.com. And then a third bonus one is maybe you don't need to get people to pay everything up front, but you need to use financing or some sort of payment plan. Don't get obsessed with paid in fulls, because when somebody, especially if it's like most of the money that they have are spending 10,000, 15 grand on a program, now they're really, yes, committed, but if things go south, they could litigate or charge back. And so it's best to to reduce the amount of issues that you could have with folks, use financing options, and you'll actually see a 20% minimum bump in your closing rate, or in your revenue if you have a sales team. So those are the suggestions that I have if you're entering the creator economy, because just because they're really good at generating eyeballs and generating desire, generating buyers, does not mean that their business is going to be around a year from now. And I know several people in the space, several people in Miami that have good old FTC and SEC, okay, the little three letters, following them around and have active lawsuits. So you don't want to be a marketer on the bad end of that. Those are my last words for them.
Huge. Listen, we're here to build long-term sustainability. Reputation is important too. So I love that you said that. Again, a lot of money to be made, and you made some good points. That'll be a nice spicy clip we'll get out of that one. But Blake, it was great having you on here. How can people find out more about you?
easiest way is just connect with me on Instagram at Blake Toves, LinkedIn, same thing. If you actually Google me, there's no other Blake Toveses, so all my stuff is there.
That's true.
So just use Google. And I got some cool vids on YouTube, just talking more about my story, how I got to where I'm at, and some cool case studies on stuff that's worked well to make money and the businesses I've consulted on. So
yeah, I love it. Listen, 27 years old. I feel like you're 27, but I feel you got the mind of like a 50 or 60-year-old, which is awesome. You know, because I feel like I can't wait to see where you are when you're 30, 35, 40. I'm definitely going to keep in touch with you, man. I love the fact that you're like way younger than me, man, but that's how you grow. You got to be around people that are younger. They know what's going on. You got some older people. You got to have a diverse assortment of people in your network, right? So I'm glad we met.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to air this fucking interview. Let's fucking go, man.
Let's do it.
Good shit.
Get ready to level your shit up with the LFG Show. We travel the globe to bring you heavy hitters from all walks of life. We've been talking some serious business, from the best digital marketers, government contracting experts, to top athletic and celebrity doctors. We've got it all covered. We're talking to guys who've cashed in for billions with a B. And the best thing is, we're just getting started. So hold on tight. We're about to crank it up a notch. Get ready for next level networking and masterminds within the LFG community. Scared money don't make no money or honey. Hit the subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment, and let's fucking go.